good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Ray Niles, and you've stumbled into the 11th episode from Red Barn Samplers. So first and foremost, thank you for joining me. And secondly, we've got a lot of things to talk about today. So grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let's get started. So first and foremost, I want to thank a fantastic group of women who were part of the Willow Tree Sampler Guild out of Houston. My sister and I, sister number 3, my sister and I traveled down there 2 weekends ago to spend a Saturday with these women as I shared with them many of the samplers in my antique collection, as well as a small project that we did. So Willa Brown and her team of women were just amazing. We met in a library. I probably had about 30 samplers I brought with me. I brought my big one that you've seen on here that was from 1705. I also brought one from 1688. And, when you can share with other women or other stitchers the things that you love and know that they love it too, that just makes it all that much more special. So I really appreciated not only the hospitality, but also their kindness and just their excitement about the samplers that I had brought and information that they shared with me that I didn't necessarily know as well. I will share with you what our project was. So after I spoke with them, my lecture was a little over an hour, and I didn't have any slides. I simply spoke to the samplers that I had brought and then had them all out on tables so that they could look at them later. And then after about an hour and 10 minutes, I guess, we jumped into the project, and I'll show you what the project was. I will have this available at a later date. It's not available yet, but it's from this little sampler here, and her name was Rachel Seller. And there's a story about Rachel that I will be sharing later, but I love this because it was very simple and very fitting for the season, I think. Just a very simple sampler. She was 12 years old in 1882, which meant she was born in 1870. I did locate her, and she just wrote, "God is love." And so this is the original, and then this is how the model turned out. And I love it. I love it because it's so tiny, and I also like Heart's Desire is my local needlework shop, and I love that we picked this chunky frame because then it will just stand on its own and won't have to be mounted on the wall. So again, just I love how it turned out, and if you look at it compared to the original, you can see there's quite a bit of size difference. But nevertheless, just a delightful stitch, and I think the women really enjoyed getting a copy of it as well. So watch for Rachel Seller to be out here in the next couple months. But again, just a big thank you to those women and to that Sampler Guild and to the library that we met in. It was a lovely facility. So just very appreciative, and thanks to sister number 3 for going with me. We had a great time as well. So also, want to call out a couple other things that you may or may not have on your radar. And the first one is a book that has just been all over social media, and a book that I was able to listen to a lecture on Wednesday from the author, and it's Dawn Cook Roningen, and I maybe butchered her last name, and if I did, Dawn, I'm so sorry, but it's her new book out called Sewing Rolls, Needle Rolls, and Housewives. And it was put on by the San Francisco Art and Design Museum, I believe. And it was about an hour and a half lecture. It was done through Eventbrite. I think it was $10. If you see her doing it again, or if she's coming to your guild, or if she's coming to a retreat, definitely sign up. She was amazing in what she was able to tell us. Her stories were fantastic. Her research was unbelievable. And the other thing I'll say is that she made me think about some of the things that I thought really were of no value that I've seen at estate sales and auctions that were related to needlework. And it made me think that maybe there was something out there I needed to be looking at more carefully. So again, this is her book, Sewing Rolls, Needle Rolls, and Housewives. Just came out this spring, maybe in January. Fantastic book. But if you're going to start collecting her books, you need to grab the other book she has out that I also have in my collection called Antique American Needlework Tools. Again, a fantastic book. Just as you thumb through here, you can see lots of beautiful illustrations, beautiful images. She does a wonderful job explaining what those tools are, how they were used. Her research is unbelievable. And I will tell you that yesterday during her lecture, the thing that stood out to me the most was the question that was asked, and I don't know if it was asked by a participant or if it was a canned question, and that was, how do you store your stuff? Like, what do you do with it? And I liked her answer, and it got me thinking about my own samplers in my collection, and she replied, she keeps it in acid-free paper, which I do too, and acid-free boxes, which I haven't gotten to the acid-free box yet. Mine are still in drawers separated by acid-free paper. But she also said that she has certain things labeled. And I thought, gosh darn, that's a really good idea, because we label what we stitch, but we maybe aren't labeling what we collect. So thought that was a great piece of advice, passing that on to you, courtesy of Dawn. But again, if you get a chance to see her or hear her, totally worth it. Just an outstanding presentation. Can't say enough good things about it. And it was funny. Maybe there will be more from the same institution, because I know at the end they said something about coming back. So if she does come back, I will definitely be signing up. Couple other things I wanted to share. I'm going to tap into Brenda and Laura, Brenda and the Serial Starter, if you aren't watching them. And here about, I think 2 episodes ago, they talked about QR codes. And I thought, oh, I love that idea, but I wonder if everyone knows kind of how those work. And I thought, well, I'm going to take the time to just kind of show what that might look like and how you might be able to benefit from it as a stitcher if somebody says, just grab the QR code. And I know many of us see those QR codes when we go out to dinner, they're at our restaurants, they're on menus, but unless you're really sure how they work, it may be a little bit confusing on how to grab those. So I happen to have created a QR code on my iPad. And I have my phone, if I can do this two-handed. I have my phone here, and I have the camera on, okay? So I'm literally just going to scan that, and you see that yellow box underneath? That's saying, do you want to open this? And if I click yes on this, then it will open to the website that I had the QR code for. And I just put it to my website, redbarnsamplers.com. But again, you know, when you see those QR codes, literally all you have to do is open up your iPhone. I believe it works on Android the same way. Point your camera to it, click on the yellow or the word that pops up that says, I think, do you want to open this? You click yes, and it will take you to that website. So thank you to Brenda and Laura for making me think about how that tech tip might apply to what we're currently doing. And then the other thing I thought about was, how could I tie the tech tip to our own stitching? And there is a website that is the Smithsonian Institute's online catalog of samplers. And I thought, oh, wouldn't that be fun to share? So I'm going to actually show it to you on my iPad. But it's called American Samplers website, and it's put out by the Smithsonian Institute. Now, why would I show you this? I mean, obviously we love amazing eye candy, but how does this fit in as a tech tip? Well, you may or may not be aware that in Safari, in the browser, up here in the very top, there are 2 A's, a big A and a little a. And what do you do with those? Well, if I tap on those, it says Show Reader. Now again, why would we want to know what a reader looks like on our iPad? Well, if I say Show Reader, what it does is it takes away all the gobbledygook, all of the extra distractions. Think about this in a classroom, right? If you have students that can be able to look at websites and go into reader view, when they go into reader view, this is what it looks like without it. If they click into reader view, it makes it that much easier to read. There's no distractions. Everything's right there, and you can read it very quickly. The other thing is, when you have that big A and little a, you can tap on that big A, and it will actually make that font bigger. So again, if you've left your glasses in the other room and you want to read something and not zoom in and zoom out, if you open up Safari and you tap on that A, either the big A or the little a, you can adjust the size of your font. And in that same place, you can also show or hide reader view. So again, I think those are tips that are relevant to us as stitchers when we're looking at websites that maybe have some amazing stories related to samplers, or even stories that are things that we just want to read on the internet that are maybe news or newsworthy. Again, I love that tip, and I wanted to be able to share that with you. Also, I had posted on social media. I, as you know, love tomato pin cushions, much like Sherry from the Colorado Cross Stitcher. And I thought, I want to make one of these. So my friend, Denise Dubois, and another two friends, Shauna Rogers and Marcy Thiessen, and I got together last Saturday, and we made tomato pin cushions. Now, I love these tomato pin cushions for a couple reasons. Number one, it was super easy to make. This is literally 4 pieces. So it's a chunk that looks like an orange wedge, 4 of them. You sew 2 together, and then you sew the 2 pieces that have 2 each together. And then you stuff it, and we stuffed it with polyfill, and then a layer of lizard litter, and then polyfill, lizard litter, polyfill, lizard litter. And we just kept packing and packing and packing it down. And then when we got done, took a big long darning needle, sewed up the top, poked down through the middle, and then we split each of those wedges twice. So it looks like there's 8 pieces that are sewn together. It was really only 4. And then Denise, bless her heart, she took the top wool piece and she went around the edges for us. And then we literally tacked them down at the end. And if you didn't like how they tacked, we did use a little hot glue. So that made it easy. And then we have a button on top, an antique button, just one. Again, that's hot glued down. And then on the bottom, we have another hot glue button. And it looks like it's been stitched because we ran the stitches first and then we hot glued that down. And the hot glue saves, it just hides a multitude of sins. We also have an attached strawberry. Again, super easy to make. And this little guy has his top just glued on. So if you're looking to make one, the company that does it is called Bird Brain Designs, and they're great. They are absolutely great. It's a real quick ship to you. I think it was very reasonable. I got it off of Etsy. We used some repurposed velvet and wool, and then I'm able to put my pretty pins in it. So again, if you like tomatoes as much as I like tomatoes, I would encourage you to make one. It didn't take us very long at all, and it was really quite fun. And if you have several people doing it together, that makes it even more fun. So also, another thing you may not be aware of, I know there's so many bag makers out there, lots of well-known bags, lots of bags that you're just like, oh, I want one of those. How come I can't get one because I'm always too late to the party? But I want to share a bag that has been around a couple years, but you may not be aware of it. And what I like about these bags is that they're repurposed from old stitching. So Deborah Harry, and I believe she advertises on Facebook and maybe on Instagram. I know for sure Facebook. She repurposes antique embroidery. And you'll see on this one, there's some crochet down here. I bet this was a dresser scarf. She complements it then with matching fabric. Her seams are all covered on the inside. You get a nice little card with it. I actually have bought several of these to give as gifts. So here's one. Again, I love the colors on this one. Here's another one, and look at these pretty pink embroidered flowers on the top. Again, I think this is probably a dresser scarf. Here's the back. There's the inside. Does a great job matching the colors. I really like her bags, and they're very well made. These stand up, and then they come in different sizes. And then this one, I think this is an old Lizzie Kate pattern actually. It says spring, and she repurposes the stitching if she can salvage it. And then you can see the inside's a lovely light pink, and then the back is the matching fabric. So watch for Deborah Harry bags. She does have an Etsy shop, and she also is available on Facebook. So It says Deborah Harry's. She's out of Buxton, Maine, and it says Vintage Reimagined. Here's her card, and then here is the back of her card. And again, you can also see it down below as well. But I really like her bags. And if you're looking for a gift or something to put your retreat exchange piece in, put it in a bag, and then somebody can take a bag home versus a brown paper sack. So wanted to share this with you. I'm a big fan. I do like her bags. Also, I had mentioned last month that I would be sharing with you a sampler that I had that said the word Easter on it. And I want to show this to you. It's really hard to see. I know that. But I'll move it a little closer. You can see the words there. It's white on white with, I believe, hardanger or cut work. And when I started looking at this, I thought, whoops, it's upside down. When I started looking at this, I thought, I wonder if this is a poem. And let me read to you what it says. And maybe some of you will know right off the top of your head what it is. It's centered. It's centered in the sampler. It says, "To dear Ruth, a token of love from your true friend, Nellie. On the resurrection morning, soul and body meet again. No more parting, no more weeping, no more pain. On that happy Easter morning, all the graves their dead restore. Father, mother, sister, brother, meet once more." And then it says Easter, April 18th, 1897. So the first thing I did was I went to the internet and I said, was 1897's Easter really on April the 18th? And believe it or not, it was. So I was like, okay, so April 18th, 1897. I have no idea who Ruth is. Up at the top, you can see it says to Ruth, to dear Ruth. And you can see the writing a little better. I'll move this up a little so you can see it. Down at the bottom, it says Easter, and it says April 18th, 1897. And so I got to thinking, do you think that this girl wrote it? Was it a poem? You know, what was it? What I found was it's actually the first verse and the seventh verse of a church hymn. And I thought that was pretty cool because the way it reads, at first I thought this girl, Ruth, must have lost her mother and her father and her brother and her sister, which she still could have. I don't know that, but I do think that it was Nellie's way of saying, hey, don't be sad. You know, there is life after all of this. And I just really thought it fitting to be able to share it for Easter with all of you. And I also like that it's all white. It's the only one in my collection that's all white, and it's super tiny. Like the stitching is super, super tiny. There we go. That's a little better. To dear Ruth, a token of love from your true friend. You'd have to be a true friend to stitch that small and give it away, that's for sure. But I do think it's beautiful, and I think the sentiment is beautiful. And again, just a lovely token for them to be able to share during the Easter season. I also have been asked lately, so shifting gears a little bit, I've also been asked lately, what are you working on? Like, what do you do, Ray? Well, I can tell you, I'm like the rest of you. I don't feel like I have enough time in the day to get everything done I want. But I have been working on a sampler model. Many of you saw the original on a previous episode of this, and it was a huge 3 feet by 3 feet Solomon's Temple. And it had 2 dogs in it, and it had a boy and a girl. So I have this, and you can see I'm making headway here. I think the little dog is so cute. In fact, I think it would be great on top of a drum. And even the people, which I'm not a big fan of stitching people, but I like the boy and the girl on this. I'm still doing the research on who Isabella Roberts was. She's the girl that stitched this. I've left myself lots of fill-in because I'll be going to Quilter Station and Farm Girl Dry Goods here in the next couple weeks. So I'll be working on that. But the reason I want that done by midsummer is I had a whole bunch of these printed up, and I've given them out at various events I've been to. And this actual flower comes from the sampler, and it's a little freebie for a small little pin keep. Super quick to stitch up, Hobby Lobby velvet on the back, and a little pin at the top. And again, the cards are just a thank you. Thank you for your support. I have been sticking these in orders as of about 2 weeks ago. So if you do order through me and they are a physical order that I have to mail, I'll be putting in the chart so that you have access to it. You can stitch it from stash, but I actually included the colors that are part of the chart. And Isabella Roberts is the name of the sampler, and she completed it in November 24th, 1848. So I'm working on getting those done, getting that done so that you can all take a look at it, and then also sharing those postcards with individuals that might be interested in stitching them as well. So with that said, I also want to remind individuals, if you haven't done this yet, you may want to. I set a goal of 4,000 subscribers. And part of the reason for that was I thought I would never get to 4,000. I think we're close, but we're not there yet. And if you type in the word Whitney, Witney, in the comments, you are eligible to win either a book from Whitney Antiques called Samplers and Historic Embroideries, or a book from Whitney Antiques called Stitched in Adversity. And if you're not familiar with Whitney Antiques, I would encourage you to take a look at their website. Oh my heavens, their samplers are amazing, and absolutely beautiful antique samplers available. And then also this one is available as well. So take a look. If you're interested in being included, type in the word Whitney. If you have a friend that's watching and they haven't subscribed, twist their arm, tell them to hit that subscribe button, and let's see if we can get to 4,000. So I shared with you my tip. I've talked to you about the Easter sampler, shared with you what I did with the Willow Tree Sampler Guild. And I just want to take a moment and wish each of you a happy Easter if you celebrate Easter. And if you don't celebrate Easter, have a great weekend. And thanks for dialing in. And of course, may your floss never twist. Thanks, everyone. Talk soon.